Hi, I'm Karen, second year MBA. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. You touched upon this a little bit, but would love to hear you expand upon it. Now that I think the landscape is really competitive, I think you mentioned there are like 390 something other news stations. How does ITV remain competitive in this landscape? I think you talked about like being reactionary, but what does that look like, especially as the age of information
Karen,
changes?
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Karen. Karen, you have to understand that we are pretty much at the same stage as the rest of the world when it comes to the evolution of media. And so, a lot of people ask me, what is the future of media? And I'll come to our network after that. Because the future of media is a big question mark based on the evolution of technologies, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. I always say this, that the nature of the product is such that the immediacy and the urgency of news is not replaceable. It cannot be replaced. Such is the nature of the product. It might come through multiple manifestations, different manifestations. And that's also true for sports. So when you look at live news and live sports, when it is happening, wherever it is happening, you want to know it there and then. So media has a very good future and a very bright future. The mediums will keep on changing and evolving. We at ITV Network are strong believers of that. Now, from the time that the newspapers started to radio, television, there was always a problem in the concept of the business of media. There are two verticals in media. One is the content, and second is the reach. So you can have the best content in the world, but if it doesn't reach the right kind of people, then it's no good. Now, when you had the traditional media like newspapers and television stations, you could be creating the best content, but if you're not available all over on all the cables and the DTH platforms or your newspapers by circulation, your message will not get out. It won't reach to the people. For the first time in the digital and social dispensation, that equilibrium has been met. So an artificial demand and supply was created by these media companies globally, where they subsidized subscription revenues on advertising revenues and not allowing new players to come in, which basically acted as a barrier to entry for new players to come in. Now, that has changed. Now, after that change has come in, it has impacted us in a very, very different way. Today, media content companies are competing with individuals. Like, I'll give you an example. Today, the number one YouTube channel in the world is an Indian channel called T-Series, which has 260 million subscribers. And it's about 50 million more than Mr. Beast. So just to give you context. And this is how this medium is changing. But something which the whole world in media is plagued with, which is subscription revenues. Whether it's the Wall Street Journal, whether it's the Economist or the Times, everyone's struggling with the same problem. That people are not ready to pay for content right now. And there's a good reason for it. Because people don't want to pay for anything they don't get gratification in return. They will not pay for content until unless it is usable to them, until unless it is something which they find of value as a value proposition. And we realized that about 5-6 years back in ITV Network. And we realized that the way forward is by building new IPs and new communities. Because the way you connect with people and you interact with them is far more important with the quantum of people you are interacting. In the age of digital and social media, everything is going to be based on analytics and the deliverables that come out of it. So we started off with the first legal show in the country called Legally Speaking, which is the number one legal show in the country now. And which started off as a show, has spawned into a complete IP, which has podcast, radio, television, text, everything, the entire ecosystem. Now, that is very relevant to the legal community. Similarly, we did that same thing for Medically Speaking, which is for the medical fraternity. Very relevant for the medical fraternity and the entire ecosystem that surrounds it. So what we have to realize is that ultimately our viewers and readers will only pay for content if they find the content usable to them in their mainstay, in their line of work, and them in their day-to-day activities. So the future of media, other than live news, is really based on building networks and communities and association and affinity with its viewers and readers. Only then will they be able to pay for it.